This is Jebb Adams' channel. Here I restore and repair and learn about vintage sewing machines from the 1940s, 1950s with all steel gears and very little electricity and no electronics. My goal here is to teach myself by doing, and in the process of learning I humbly try to be a bit of a little tutorial teacher with these films. Today what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the upper tension device from the Singer 201 and disassemble the pieces. I want to point out to you that the place to release the stud, to release the device, the screw is right in here. Let me just turn that slightly. Maybe we'll get a better... Oh my goodness, it almost hit the camera. I'm all right, folks. Thank goodness, no insurance. So what I want to do here is get this lamp and see if there we can see it a little better. There is the screw to release the tension device. And these tension devices are secured by their stud. It's usually a pin or a screw. Well, I'll get my shorter screwdriver. You'll have to bear with my big furry hands, furry fingers. Get it started anyway. It is a long screw, and I am not going to remove it entirely. I may just take it right to about, trying to wait and see if it loosens. See, I don't think that I have to undo it that much to release the tension on the tension device stud. There, it's out. That simple. Let's get to work. Let's look at this. We have the plus minus indicator like that, and that's the way we need it to be. Next, we want the beehive spring, and it also has a cross turned wire at the end of the spring, and that fits in that horizontal slot, just like that as well. The next item to be installed is a stop washer, and the tab needs to be pointing towards the viewer, to the camera, to the TV. And it goes on like that. Beehive spring. No, it's being pushed by me not holding the stud. And then we take the number dial and I put it on with the 0 at the top, like that. And then I push the whole device down and I get the screw, which also has a stud that goes in one of the holes. I'll probably initially put it up near the 0 hole or at the 0 hole until I set it. And that's tight enough for now, I think. And there it is. It's assembled. It's ready to go back in the machine. Cool. Fun project. Here we go. We get the pin. That has to match once it's in. There, it has lined up and it has slid down, and we see the bottom of the pin correctly located. I want to have the spring hanging down in that position when it is all assembled. And there, so I may have to have it like that. Let me see where that tab is again. There, it can hang like that when it's all together. So, I will position it where I am holding the spring firmly. I am in control of the spring. First disc. Second disc. Thread guide and spring. And that is good right like that. The spring is on the bottom and this point is on the top, so I'm happy with that. So this upper tension assembly has now been installed on the upper tension device stud. Next, we're going to take the plus minus indicator and we're going to install it. And we want the plus minus indicator on the top. Pardon me, to disassemble it is to put some pressure on the number dial, and that when you push it down, it slides down, and that releases the tension on this pin right there. And then once that is released, we can take off the number dial, then the stop washer. Let me line these up a little more coherently. Let's start from left to right, the way we were taught to write in school as children. So there's 3 of the items. There's number 4 is the beehive spring. Number 5 is the plus minus indicator, which is also has the stop crossbar that stops the stud pin. And by doing that, by stopping or releasing on the stud pin, the pickup lever goes up. The tension on the pickup lever is increased or decreased, is applied or disapplied. Next, I'm going to take the whole upper tension assembly off. And it came off the stud. So we'll put the stud there for a minute because there's something in there that I want to show you. And there I removed the check spring. And so there is the check spring. And then we have 2 opposing discs that the thread goes in between. We'll put them there. And then we have the thread guide. It has a proboscis there, a point that goes into a hole on the body. Above the, it's vertically above the hole where the device goes. And we'll put that down there. Inside there, it fell out. It just slid right out of the stud, is the stud pin. And that stud pin is what contacts that crossbar to tighten or loosen the tension on the thread that is in there when you try to pull it loosely through to set it up. And then when you put the lever down and you want it all to lock on the thread so that everything becomes taut. So there it is, it's all apart. I think I said that it was 10 parts. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So when I counted it before, I hadn't counted the pin as a separate part. So to put it back is pretty straightforward. We see the horizontal slot there on the threaded screw stud, and that just drops right in there, and it goes in the correct position because it'll only go in with the pin matching the horizontal slot in the stud. So we put that on, that's in there, that's good. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take the spring, the check spring, and the 2 opposing washers and the thread guide. It's not the thread guard, it's the thread guide. How are we doing there? Can you see that, my friends? And what we need is we need this to be on the top because it has to go in the machine and it has to be in that position. The spring, we want it to hang down. So we have to have that on top. Where's my spring? Did I lose my spring? I did. It fell. And you'll notice that the spring, as mentioned before, it does have a tab. Hi, Jebb Adams is my name. Fixing sewing machines and making films about them is my game. Hello, this is Jebb Adams. I like to make films about my sewing machine restorations and that kind of thing. In this little film, little video, I'm going to call out the pieces and talk about them a little bit. One thing I do want to do is go by the pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there's 10 pieces. The first piece that I want to talk about or show you is the upper tension device stud, or the upper tension stud, or to keep it simple, the tension stud or the stud. There's only one stud in this sewing machine in that tension device, and this is it. So that's number one. The next four parts are the spring, the two discs, the two opposing discs that go on, oopsie daisy, go on like that, so that the thread will slide down between there and there. And then the last part is this thread guard. And this thread guard is not to be confused with the thread guide, which is on the 201 sewing machine itself on the body. The thread guide is not part of this device. But these four parts, the two discs, the spring, and the guide, are called the upper tension assembly. And when you refer to the whole pictures or the whole assembly and all the other parts, it's the upper tension device. So what I do is I'm going to take this stud and I'm going to let you know that there's a pin in here, and I'm going to push the pin out. Will that be enough to get it started? There, it flew out, and you can see this pin has a flat end. Can you see that right there as I turn it? It has a flat end, and that flat end is what contacts up against this plus minus indicator that has the horizontal or the opposing perpendicular bar, and that's where that little flat thing hits right up against there like that. Into the 60s, Singer and other sewing machine companies worldwide got into building replacement parts for this out of plastic. And quite often after repeated use of lifting and lowering the pickup lever, this plastic part would basically wear out and get so thin until it broke. So this is not plastic. This is good to go for, well, longer than me probably. But anyway, that's the pin. And that's why I was talking about that other little device there. So I'm going to put the pin in the stud, and we have to make sure that the stud is going to sit in the sewing machine horizontally like that. So this pin has to sit in there also like that. It won't fit vertically. So I gotta, and it's really easy. I mean, all you do is drop it in, and if it's turned, well, then just turn it. And it's not a difficult thing to do at all. So it's, whoopsie daisy, I'll have to edit that out. So it's in there, and I've pushed it all the way down as far as it'll go. And this has been oiled before, but if this machine was a train wreck and it was really dirty, all this stuff would be getting cleaned, and this inside there would need a drop of oil after taking some kind of little wire brush or whatever, or a plastic cleaning tip, and routing out that hollow tube. So that goes on there with reference to our spring, our check spring, I believe it is called. We want the spring to hang down like that. We want it to hang down like that. And actually, I think it is like that maybe. We'll see once we get the other pieces put together. And you'll notice on the spring also that there is a tab. Where's the tab? Right there. Let me see if I can focus this. There's the tab right there. And that is how we line it up in here so that it will hang down something like that. So now I'm going to put the assembly together, and I'm going to get both discs and the thread guide, pardon me, the thread guard. And now I look for that tab, which is right there. And so it goes in the horizontal like that. Then I can get the discs on. And then I can get so there the whole assembly now is on. And I'm not sure that that spring is the way I want it to be. It isn't. Well, maybe I do want it on the vertical when I put it in the machine. See, it's not really on the vertical. I want it like that, and it's got to go like that. So I'll do that, and then I'll take one disc, put it on, take another disc, put it on, take the thread guide, and this has to be at the top because it has to fit into this little hole in the body just above the thread guide, and that's where that tab goes. Whoopsie daisy. Its partners ran away on it. His mates left. Jebb, jebb, jebb. So this one goes on like that. How are we doing now? And then I need to get the thread guide and it goes on like that. So now we're all together. So that's the position I want. Right there. So that's on. The next thing that we want to put on is the plus minus indicator that has the crossbar for the stud to hit. So and when we put this together, we need to put it like that. And then we take the upper tension device spring, stud spring or whatever, the beehive spring, and we put it on. And it's very simple to see that there's another tab or spring that is turned, like on the check spring, and that helps it sit perfectly like that. Then we take the stop washer, and on the stop washer there's a little bent tab, and that bent tab has to face this way. It has to face the camera, the viewer. I'm pretty sure. And then after that, we have that go on. Everything, yeah, that's working fine. The spring is. And you'll see that there is a tab also on that. When that sits in one of these holes. So I just set it up at 0 for now. Well, I'm not even really putting it in right now. I got to get this thing on first. So I push everything in, I think. There, I pushed it all the wrong way. Okay, I think everything's still pretty much aligned. So there, we're good to go there. And then I just take that and screw it in. And as it gets closer, I push the number dial in. And then I just get that 09. And there, the whole thing is together right there like that. The next step is to install it in the machine. So we want the check spring to hang down somewhat, and we want this proboscis to go in that hole there. So it is going to be simply line it up and gently manipulate it in, and that feels like, let me tighten this up a little. That feels like it is in solid. There, that's a little better view there, a little more focused. So let me try that again. Oh, she's a hard beast to get out. So it's just a matter, now it is tight. And so it's just a matter of, you see how I have my finger down there and my thumb up here. Then I've lined up this, where's my little pointer? I've lined up this to go into, this male part to go into that, that receptacle there. And now it feels tight. Like I can't really push that device in there any further. And so now it's time to secure it. And this is how we do that. How we do that is we take a screwdriver and we tighten that. The device is seated correctly. Interestingly, here is the screw that we have to secure the device with. And it's a long screw. So I'm using my long shank screwdriver, and now I have a shorter screwdriver right here. And this is difficult to see because it has somewhat started to recess. For sure it's behind the thread guide, which is right there. So it is a difficult shot. I'm pushing on the device with my left thumb as I tighten that. And that is secure now, but that is in. If you have made it right to the end, thank you for your viewership, your consideration. I appreciate it. Please consider subscribing if this has been helpful to you. It does help the channel. And once again, I want to wish you all have fun, keep safe. Adios, amigos.